Hey guys, this is Shannon with Nearly Organic Noshing, and I thought I would show you something that I do for a friend of mine. And I know a lot of people on YouTube, they have lots of food allergies. They're allergic to gluten, they're allergic to dairy, they're allergic to all different kinds of things. And this is a good friend of ours that she has MS and she has a lot of food allergies, and her sons have a lot of food allergies, and her mom has allergies. So I have a list of most of the things that they are allergic to, and she has been very sick and in the hospital, so I am taking today to try and make up a few meals to go and take to them and do some cleaning and stuff tonight for them just to kind of help out. And if someone has severe food allergies, I found that it's great to label the food just in case you make a mistake and you cook with something that they really can't have. When I'm able to, I print out a recipe. Like this is a recipe I regularly just make for my family, and it's a low-carb pumpkin sausage soup, and I have all my ingredients here. It's just easier for me if I go ahead and group them together, especially when I'm on a very limited time and I'm going to be doing multiple dishes at one time and I'm going to have to come back. I only have a small amount of time on my lunch break to cook, and so I'll be finishing the rest of this when I get done with work. So most of these items, you know, they're regular ingredients. They can have all of this, and I'm going to sub out a few things like the heavy cream. I'm going to take out, and I am replacing that with unsweetened almond milk, because they can have almond milk, but they can't have regular dairy milk. So, and then I'll just mark it off on here, and I will include the recipe with the dish that I take. So I'm going to be making a pumpkin sausage soup, and that's what this line of ingredients are. And then this is something I'm just making up, and I'm just going to make it up, and I'll put a label on it for this row right here. I had cilantro up in the refrigerator already. I had squash. This is my homemade taco seasoning. I know exactly what is in here, and I can print that out and put that on the list. That's everything they can have. And this is some grass-fed beef that I have in the freezer. It needs to defrost. So I'm going to do like a taco cilantro ground beef mix. And I'm just going to put some yellow squash in it and some onions and garlic just to kind of zest it up with some fresh cilantro. And that's going to be something that they can easily make. All of this stuff right here is going to be a beef stew. They can't really have potatoes or anything super starchy. So in place of potatoes, I'm using a butternut squash, and then I'm going to take the rest of the squash and cut it up and cook it down and mix it with butter and salt, and the boys love to have that for breakfast. So this is going to be a beef stew. I can also take a picture of everything on this table and give it to them so they know exactly what ingredients are in their meal. So if there's any question at all, if you don't want to have to write everything down, you can just take a picture and show them. But I make up the meals, and then I tape paper to the top with either the recipe or a list of ingredients of what I put in it, so it's just easier for them to look at a glance. I have a bunch of green beans, so I'm going to snap these and cook them with some bacon, and I'm probably going to take some green beans and toss them in with the stew also, just to add some more vegetables into the stew. And I will make a big dish of seasoned green beans with some bacon. I'm going to go pick kale out of my garden. I still have plenty of kale. And I'm going to take chicken legs, and I'm just going to season them like salt, pepper, paprika. Cook them in olive oil, because they can have olive oil, can't have any sort of coconut oil. So they can have olive oil. So I'm going to cook these in olive oil with some seasoning, and then saute some kale, so they'll have chicken legs with kale. And then as a dessert, Macy, hush. I'm going to make these paleo, gluten-free, sugar-free cookies, and just make a couple of substitutions. And I'm using almond flour vanilla, just everything is raw. And they were called pumpkin snickerdoodles. I'm just making the cookies and not doing this snickerdoodle sugary crumble that goes on the top. And I'm going to use stevia as the sweetener in this, and that's something that they can have. And I'm just going to kick it up with a few other seasonings that I know they can have, like cloves and stuff, to take place of having extra sugar in the cookies. So this is all stuff, it's all whole foods. And if I have time, I'll make one or two more things, but my time is super, super limited. I have about 40 minutes right now to go ahead and get the beef stew going in the crock pot, go ahead and snap the beans, and get the veggies cut up. I'm going to let the rest of the meat defrost while I am at work for the rest of the day, so that when I come in, I'll be able to go ahead and just cook everything else in less than an hour and head out to their house. So as the meals progress, I will show you what I'm doing and how it turns out. But I just thought that other people, especially ones that have food allergies, this could benefit. And every time I cook anything for them, I always have it labeled on top, every single ingredient that is in the dish, so that there's no chance of accidentally giving them something that they can't have. And it's even better when you can print out the recipe. That way they know if they love it, that they can do it for themselves. So I hope this helps, guys, and I'll keep filming as I progress with the meals and show you guys what I'm doing. Okay, I have all of my vegetables cut up. I just can't film and cut fast, and I'm super, super limited on time. So I am just kind of cutting and coming back and forth to the camera. One of the things that when I'm making multiple meals, at one time I found really useful is to have two separate cutting boards. I have one for my vegetables and fruits, and then I have another one down here for my meat. And that way I can go back and forth between two things and not have to worry about cross-contaminating. I have knives for each one, and I keep them separate. That way when I'm done, if I just have to stop where I'm working, this stuff I can just cover and leave it where it's at because it's pretty cool in the house. And the meat, I can throw the meat in the fridge if I need to, and I can throw the cutting board into the sink, run some hot soapy water over it, and just leave it until I can get a chance to come back and scrub it. So I have everything for my beef stew done, and I've cut up a few other things that'll be ready whenever I get back from lunch. I have to throw the last of the meat into the crock pot with all the veggies and seasoning, and then that can cook the whole time that I'm at work. I'll go ahead and put it together and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is the stew that's in the crock pot. There is butternut squash, parsnips, carrots, green beans, celery, onion, garlic, beef broth, chunks of grass-fed beef, and some of our smoked salt that are in here. And that's, other than seasoning, and I'll put a list of the seasonings on there, but I know they can have all the seasonings. You know, there's thyme and bay leaves. I'm trying to think, rosemary, what else I put in here, but there's just a bunch of seasoning, and everything will be listed out. And you know, I just found that it's easier to take it in to-go containers. That way they don't have to worry about washing any dishes. They can just throw stuff away. So I package everything up in to-go containers. So this right here will be cooking away while I'm at work, and that way when I walk back in the door, at least I'll have one meal down that I can take them and can concentrate on the others that don't take quite as long to cook. Okay guys, this is the finished product. I'm waiting on one more batch of the pumpkin cookies to come out so that I can get everything packed up. I packed everything in disposable containers so they don't have to worry about them. They can reuse them or they can toss them. This is the pumpkin sausage soup. I know it does not look the most appealing color in the world, but it is actually quite delicious. And I have made this previously in a video, so I will link that in the top corner. so that if you want to check out how to make this soup, you can. This is the hamburger with cilantro, taco seasoning, and squash. It's just something that I made up that I know that the boys would enjoy eating, and it's everything that's on their diet plan. And it's just all sauteed up together. There's some onions and garlic and seasoning in there, grass-fed beef, squash, and fresh cilantro, just everything all seasoned up. These are seasoned carrots, vanilla cinnamon carrots with bacon green beans. This is just the extra butternut squash that I had. The boys like to eat this for breakfast. And it's just been smushed up with some butter and smoked salt. This is the beef stew that I made. There's a pretty good glare there. It has some root vegetables, not too many other than carrots and the parsnips, squash, green beans, onions, celery, garlic, and lots of seasoning. And some beef stock along with the grass-fed beef. And actually, I had a bowl of this for dinner tonight and gave one to Jaden, and it is very, very good. This is some kale from the garden and some braised chicken legs, and then these are the pumpkin cookies. And like I said, I'm just waiting for the last batch to come out, let them cool off. I'm going to wrap everything else up, have a box with a towel ready to go so I can get the lids on everything, pack it up, and take it. It's just important that you label everything if you have someone that has food allergies. I've listed everything out here that are in these containers and the miscellaneous containers that I did not use a recipe for. And these are the stews that I pulled offline, and my pumpkin sausage soup, and the pumpkin cookies. And I marked off the ingredients that I did not use and wrote in the substitutions that I did use, so they can quickly look down the list. They can see all the ingredients, and just in case you make a mistake, they, can find it right off the bat. And I follow a recipe, or I follow a strict list when I'm doing this. When I cook for us, I follow 0 recipes. I just fling things in and cook as I think things taste good, and don't really follow any sort of recipe. But this is the overview. This will get them through probably the rest of the week or close to it. And then they're going to have to worry about cooking. So at least for most meals, at least for dinner and stuff, they'll have enough to get through. And I hope they enjoy it. Hope this helps you guys. If you cook for anybody that has any sort of food restrictions or food allergies, just a couple of quick ideas for things that you can do. Okay guys, I hope you have a great night.